Hello everyone and welcome back to another Paletteful Packs video. My name is Monique Renee and today I've got the Young Artist box for April. We've got an adorable little pencil sticker right here, but we're going to put that guy aside for now and look at the art supplies. The very first thing in here is a Faber Castell oil pastel set with 12 colors. We've got two separate packs of Sargent Art oil pastels in fluorescent and metallic. We've got a pack of blending stumps, a black china marker, and lastly our surface, which is a 9x12 pack of Bristol board. So we have our info card here, and I'm going to share a little bit of information about these supplies with you guys. First up, we have the oil pastels by Faber Castell. Oil pastels are almost like a crayon or a pencil. They are a dry medium in which you rub onto the paper to deposit the color. This is the oil pastel box, so we've got quite a lot of oil pastels to choose from. This thing right here is a blending stump. You can use these blending stumps to kind of blend the oil pastels together or blend it into the paper. And this right here is a china marker. This again is a crayon-like or pencil-like kind of marker. As the tip wears down, you actually pull on this little string to kind of peel back this paper to reveal more of the marker. The last thing we have is our pad of Bristol board. Bristol board is a very smooth, thick kind of paper. It's going to go great with these mediums because it's not very porous, which means that the color will go on nice and smooth, and especially with the use of the blending stumps, all our colors are just going to be nice and smooth and beautiful. Oil pastels can be a little intimidating for people, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you guys through it. We're going to have fun. Oil pastels are such a fun medium. I enjoy kind of getting a little bit messy, so hopefully I will be able to help demystify it and we will have some fun. Let's get started! So here is our Bristol board. As you can see, it's really smooth, but it's also thicker than a normal piece of paper. What we're going to do is, like every video, we are going to swatch our art materials. The first one we're going to swatch is the Faber Castell. We're also going to call these the earth tones. We've also got our fluorescent and our metallic. And what we're going to do is just take our colors and swatch. You'll notice as soon as you put these guys to the paper, they are so incredibly smooth. So while they may look like a pencil or crayon that you've used before, you can tell that they're definitely not. And we're just going to take all of these and test out the colors. We do this so we create a little reference sheet, so when we start doing our art, we have something to go back on and check which color looks like what. This becomes especially important because we have two different brands of materials, and this orange is going to look much different than this orange. That is what the Faber Castell orange looks like, whereas the fluorescent Sargent looks like that. So now if I want the super fluorescent one, I know to grab this, and if I want more of an earth tone, I go with this. You also don't need to press down super hard to get a good color payoff. However, you can get a nice gradient by applying more pressure and then slowly relieving the pressure as you go out. Now here is our blending stump. What I want you guys to do is take it and apply it to the pastel. You'll notice as you go across the pastel, it really just blends the pastel into the paper. All right, so we're going to do that again. We're just going to take the pastel and drag it across the paper. And look how beautiful. You'll notice that the end of your blending stump will get dirty as you do this. So what I like to do is keep another little piece of paper handy. And then to clean off the stump, all you have to do is rub it on that clean piece of paper, and then you can continue blending. You do want to clean off your blending stump before you go into a different color, otherwise you will deposit the previous color into the new swatch. Once you have one set done, go on and do the other two. All right, and now we have this to come back to. So as you can see, we have the earth tones here, fluorescent bright tones here and metallic here. The metallic ones are really cool because they like are shiny. But between all of these, we have just so many different colors to make and to choose from. So what I'm going to teach you guys next is how to actually blend these together. Okay, let's say you want to start with orange and have the color slowly gradate into yellow. We've got orange and yellow. So what we're going to do, draw a little circle to illustrate. So if we wanted this area to be orange and this area to be yellow, what we would do is something like this. And we would kind of overlay the colors on top of each other in the middle here until they started to blend together. As you can see, it's already blending pretty nicely. We can just add more orange and more yellow. And then when you get to a point like this, what you can do is take this blending stump and really just blend and blend and blend, and look how beautiful. These oil pastels are very messy, and I know I do this a lot. When I'm drawing and I want to brush something off my paper, I kind of just take my hand and go like whoop. But as you can see, if you do that with these materials, they will kind of smear all over the paper. So just try to be mindful of that. Now, once you already have color down, you can go on top of it with a different color to even add more depth. So I'm just going to add this red where this orange is. And again, we can take our blending stump and just blend that out into the orange. And if it's a little too dark, I might take my orange again on top of it to kind of brighten it up. And my yellow once again. And blend that. And it's really just a matter of going back and forth until you're happy. Now, something else to keep in mind, if I take my blending stump right from the red and then I take it onto a lighter color like the yellow here, I will actually deposit the color on top. You can basically pick up the pastel with a blending stump and put it somewhere else. This is a technique that can be used, but it can also create a bit of a mess, like with right here. So just be careful of that. If you're ever going from a dark color to a light color, make sure to clean off your blending stump on a separate piece of paper like we were doing before. Now, it's easy to put a dark color on top of a light color, but you'll notice it's not quite as easy to put light on top of dark. In fact, what you'll end up doing is I got my pastel kind of dirty with that red color. So I'm going to just clean that off. So when working with pastels, you do kind of want to work light to dark. That just means putting down your lightest colors first and then layering your darker colors on top. Now what I would like you guys to do is just take all of your pastels and play around with them. See what color combinations look good together, see what different colors look like blended together, try layering a whole bunch of different colors on top of each other, and really get to know your materials. Playing and experimenting is one of the best ways to learn a new art supply. So now we are going to work on our final illustration. And I don't know about you guys, but having this big of a piece of paper kind of intimidates me, kind of freaks me out. So what I'm going to do is take some tape, and I'm actually going to kind of cut this page in half. Now you can also just do this with a pair of scissors, but I want to keep everything kind of in this book. So what I like to do is I will just take some washi tape, kind of eyeball it, doesn't have to be perfect, and just cut the page in half. And there, now I have two different areas to draw in. So something that I like to do with oil pastels a lot is I actually like to draw nature. Nature is full of some really beautiful organic shapes and textures, and I just think that using oil pastels to create those kind of beautiful splotchy shapes is really fun, and I think it looks really nice. So for the first square, we're going to work together, and what I did is I went outside and took some pictures around my house of some pretty naturey things that I saw, and I took this really pretty photo of some little berries that are growing on a bush. For the other side, what I want you to go out around your home, take some pictures of something that inspires you outside, and then recreate it. But like I said, first we're going to work together, and I'm going to walk you through my process and how to take a photo and break it apart and recreate it with oil pastels. So I am going to keep my reference photo nearby. And I'm going to take just a regular sketching pencil, and I'm going to sketch out what I see. I am going to focus only on shapes, and I'm going to be very loose. Like I mentioned before, nature is full of these just organic shapes, and it doesn't really matter if the shape perfectly matches your reference photo or not. We're going to keep a very light hand, because we also don't want our pencil to be super dark, because that will show up through the pastels. So basically, I'm just loosely sketching these shapes, and you can see I'm not putting in any detail. All I'm doing, there's a circle here, a circle here, a leaf shape here, a leaf over here, and so on and so forth. Feel free to pause the video here if you need more time to sketch things out. I'm also going to be working mainly with the Faber castels because these are more earth tones, and the fluorescent ones would just be a little too fluorescent. And the first thing I'm going to start coloring in are the lighter leaves. And I'm going to use a mixture of these colors to do so. You'll be able to see some of these leaves are lighter than the other ones. So we're going to try to keep that in mind, but also don't stress too much about getting everything exactly perfect and exactly like the reference photo. More importantly, I want you to have fun. So I'm going to take these leaves, and I notice that this one over here looks a little more yellow than the leaf beside it. So I'm going to start with a base of yellow, I'm going to add some green over on top of it. There's kind of a little middle part that's a little bit darker than the rest. There's also these kind of lines that come out from the middle of the stem. So I'm just going to lightly put those in too. Basically, everything we're doing here is going to be very loose and very messy. Going to do the same thing for a leaf over here. I notice this area on the side looks more yellow. There's that middle stem. And there's actually a little bit of darker green in there too, so I'm just going to add that. Now some of these other leaves are a bit darker and they're a bit more green than yellow. So what I will do is color that with a nice base layer of green. And I will add this darker green to the areas that are in more shadow. And this will also help kind of differentiate this leaf from the leaf behind it. You'll see the way that I'm holding these. I am holding them very, very loosely in my hand. I'm not holding them like I would a pencil, but rather very loosely so I can just lightly deposit the color onto the paper. Now we have another darker leaf over here. So I'm just going to add that green again as a base. Go in with this green on top. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of blue as well. You can also use black to add value as well, but I personally like to use other colors because I think it looks a little better, looks a bit more colorful, more fun, and like I said, you will get more depth and dimension that way. There are times where we will have to use black, especially in these backgrounds over here, but for now, we're going to use this blue and keep everything bright, because when you add black, it will also add desaturation. But now I feel like I'm just going way off track, so bring it back down to earth. So now that I've got all of these leaves kind of roughly sketched in, we are going to go with our blending stump and blend these out. Make sure to have a piece of scratch paper nearby so you can clean your stump. And starting from the lighter areas to the darker, we are just going to blend all this out. All right, those are looking pretty good. Now what I want to do is color in these little fruits. We've got this beautiful one right in the middle. That is a nice orangey red. So I'm going to draw in some of these details. It kind of has like a pumpkin shape. So I'm going to draw that in with my pastel. And I'm going to start coloring it in. I'm going to leave this spot in the middle for little highlights. So I will color in a little bit of yellow there in the middle. Now the cool thing about art is that you can make decisions to change things if you would like. So these little fruits back here really blend in with the leaves. So what I'm actually going to do is color them more of an orange yellow, kind of like this one down here. And that's just so they will be a little bit more pronounced, they'll stick out a little bit more, and I think they will just look better. So I'm basically going to do the same exact thing. But color them more orange, less red. There are some spots where the fruit kind of has a shadow cast on it because something is in front of it. Where I want to put a little shadow, I'm going to put down just a smidge of purple, where the purple is going to make the red look a little bit darker. Be sure to check your reference often too, so you can get the shapes correctly, because we have this one over here. Looks a little bit different because we're actually looking at it from the back side instead of the front. So it's going to be in perspective a little bit. And now that we have all our little fruits colored, we're going to blend those out too. Make sure to clean off your blending stump, and I'm going to start with this guy right in the middle. And I'm just going to blend these colors out. And now I have a little fruit. All right, now we are going to take this peachy color and then drew in the branches. And to shade it a little bit, we're going to add some of this brown, just in a few places. Okay, now for the background, I'm going to color the whole area in with a very light wash of this darker green. What we're going to do is now take our black and we're going to add black on the edges, gradiating inward. That way the middle looks a little bit brighter and it's darker on the outside. So add it to those edges and then start bringing it inward. We want this area to be very, very dark, but we don't want it to be completely black. Then feel free to go back in with the green and just add more so it's dark, plus so you're blending that black and that green together. Once again, we're going to take our trusty blending stump and blend this out so it's nice and smooth. When blending larger areas, you can actually use the side of the blending stump to cover more area at a time. Now I also want to deepen the background a little bit. It's too bright. I want it to be even darker, so I'm just going to add another layer of black on top. What I'm also going to do is take my marker and actually kind of outline some things. I want these to really stand out from the background. Once again, let's add some green. Now the last step, of course, is to blend that out until the background is nice and smooth. And there we go! Our little fruit study drawing is done. The big thing to keep in mind when working with oil pastels is that it's going to be messy. Like my hand is got green powder all over it, and these are just a mess, but so much fun to play with. So I highly suggest just playing around and not being afraid to really get in with the materials and try lots of new things. So I want you guys to now go around your house, your yard, take some fun nature pictures, and then draw them on the other side of this paper. Or you can always look at pictures online too. Once you've done that, and if you have permission, we would love to see your work, so be sure to post your work to social media, tag us in it, and use our hashtags, #PaletteFulPacks and #PaletteFulPrompts. I'm going to fill out this other side of the paper and get back to you for my final notes. Alright, so I decided to do a little drawing of a sunset on my other side. Again, please show us your work, we would love to see it. But I believe that's going to be it for me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed drawing with me, and I hope you learned some stuff on how to use these materials too. If you are not yet part of the Paletteful Packs family and would like to join us, please check out our link in the description box below so you can join us for next month. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a lovely spring season, and until next time, I will see you guys next month. Bye guys!